All right, guys, what's up? It's Rick Ginn here, and today we're going to talk about how to comp any property in 60 seconds or less. And why do I say 60 seconds? Because the more time you spend comping, the less likely you're going to get a great wholesale deal. So I've been doing this for over 21, going on 22 years, and I'm going to show you some simple strategies that I use today. And God knows I wished I used when I first started wholesaling. So it doesn't matter if you haven't done your first deal, this is the perfect video for you. Or if you're more experienced, someone like me or myself, Zach, I will give you some tips so you can safeguard your best wholesaling deals. Because remember, at the end of the day, when we get our contracts, we sell them to cash buyers, we take them to closing, that's when we get paid. If you write contracts for properties where you're completely uneducated on the comps, you will get killed in wholesaling. But I'm here to tell you, too many wholesalers spend way too much time trying to comp properties. And I'm going to show you why they do that. And I'm going to show you really the easiest way to fix that. So first and foremost, I've got to tell you this. I'm going to go through a little bit of a checklist. So everything I'm going to go over today is right here on the bottom of your screen, freewholesaling.com. I know I beat it to death, but I can only condense so much in an hour and a half show. If you go to freewholesaling.com, it is a course me and my son have completed completely for free. We have over 100,000 users in there that have had incredible success wholesaling. If you don't believe me, go check it out. And it would be equivalent of doing about a 12-hour course with you. And we break it down in 3 simple sections. We break it down to marketing, the most important one, acquisitions, and disposition. So today we are talking all about wholesaling. So particularly on comps. So make sure you go over to Free Wholesaling and do it from there. So here's what I'll do as I get into this. Guys, introduce us. Let us know where you're coming from, what market you're servicing. Make a friend in here, the best way to do it. And then at the end of our conversation on comping, we'll do a free mastermind. So if you want to talk, if you need someone to get inside your head, if you need a kick in the butt or you want to work on a wholesaling deal, it's free. So use it or lose it is completely up to you. So I appreciate you. So what's up, Chris? I see Luke in the house. Mark as usual. Jonathan, I appreciate all you guys. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, wait a minute, that didn't post. Let's see here. Let's try it again. Paste. It should come up. Yeah, so I put a link in there. It's first come, first serve if you want to hop in there. So we're talking all about comping. I'm going to tell you guys, I make comping simple. So if you have like elaborate software or like high-end analytical tools, I'm here to tell you, you're doing the business wrong. So one of the main issues with comping, and I'll share this right now, is whose job is it to ultimately comp a property? It's who's ever in charge. But here's the problem is, most of you think of comping like a realtor. God, I've seen realtors spend hours comping 1 or 2 properties. And I'm telling you, if you take this course of action, uh-oh. Let's see here. Hold on, guys. Hold on, I gotta fix the camera. Let's see what happened. Ugh. Hold on, I'm still here. Just gotta fix the setting here. And let's see if that does it. So you guys can hear me. We're talking about comping. Don't let the okay, let's see here. That's the wrong camera. Okay, hold on, hold on. Now you know it's really live because I don't have a teleprompter. Okay. I'm fixing it. I'm going to talk to you on my other desktop camera while I try to fix it. So hold on. I think I know what it is. So my camera just cut out and I got to figure out why it's doing that. So a lot of you spend way too much time trying to be a realtor. And that's the biggest challenge you have to understand. So stop acting like a realtor. So I've already put it up there. That's all you got to do is stop acting like a realtor. So hold on, let me switch the camera. So it's only give me the option for the FaceTime camera. Do I just switch it? I'm still here, guys. Just listen to my voice while I do it. If we stop treating properties, there we go. Okay, I think I got it fixed. Okay, we're good. So if we stop acting like a realtor, you won't get realtor results. Realtor's job is get the perfect comp and try to nail it perfectly on the head, even though they're almost overpricing every property, because we know what buyer's expectation is. Everybody wants a deal. So if you understand that, just stop acting like a realtor. So sorry about the difficulty there. Realtors try to nail this like it's perfect. And I'm telling you, you will never get a perfect comp, and it doesn't exist. The next one you've got to understand, which is a big one. Most of you guys try to cherry pick your comps. How do I know this? Because I see it all the time. The more time you spend trying to comp a property, the more likelihood you overpaid for it or your contract's way too much. So if you are truly going to take a comp, let's do this. So guys, put in the notes, what do you like to use to comp your properties? Because there's a million different things. When I started out, guess what? I had to use a realtor. It was torture. You guys have no idea how good you really have it right now. So who do you like to use to do your comps? And then I'm going to show you how to pull them and how to do it. I'm not going to do screen shares because I'm doing old school whiteboard today, but I'm here to tell you, put it up there. Tell me what you do. So Juan hits it right off the bat, which is the correct way to do. But let's go through everything. Some of you guys use X leads. I got PropStream. Just keep putting them in there. And by the way, you can use free ones too. So we're going to go with the paid ones first. And then we'll do free over here. So put it in there so you don't think I'm randomly like picking stuff up on here. Okay, Zillow. I got Redfin. What else we got? Just don't be scared to put any. Guys, you could probably put down like 50 or 60 different types of companies. It's ridiculous how much they are. I'm going to keep writing as I see your stuff on there. There's Trulia. And then we said Redfin. What else we got? We got Batch over here. I don't care. Put as many as you want. Oh my God, MLS. I'm going to put MLS as paid because you got to pay to get access into that. I got Trulia. Craigslist is not one. No, Craigslist is an absolute no. That's a more of a marketing site. So we also have another good one, guys, is realtor.com. But am I missing any in here? Like I'm talking more of the common ones. Just put them up there. Realty, Zillow, Redfin, Trulia. I know there's a bunch of others, but you guys can put them up there. We'll put them up there, and then we can debate on like what's what. So here's the reality. You guys go in. Now, I will tell you, Zillow is the premier one. You know why? They have the most data. County records, that's a good one. That's actually accurate. But Zillow, why is Zillow the best one? They have the deepest data set, and it has the most traction on the internet. And guess what? Most sellers go to Zillow first. I would say that's a hard number one. So even if you don't use it, you need to get familiar with it because they have that thing called the Zestimate. So this is the most trafficked website on real estate that you can get on end users getting values on their home. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. I'm going to be honest with you. It's gotten a lot better from when we started. Now, I will tell you, this is only for single family homes. This stuff doesn't work great for raw land. I've been over on videos on this because it's a much less information, but this is how you go at it. And here's the challenge when you guys do it is you start a lot of you base your price on your seller's numbers. So your seller will go like this. I need $240,000 for my property. They burn it into your mind. And you know what you guys do? The next step is you go and seek 240 validation. Validation. I can't spell today. And this is your problem. Just because your seller throws out a number doesn't mean that's going to be the value of the property. And then you instantly go, okay, 240, if I make an offer, say like 185, maybe 185, 190, because that's your MAO, and you do this in the wrong freaking order. And I'm telling you, if you do it this way, you are going to get killed in real estate. I don't care, fix and flip, wholesale, whatever it is. You guys get this number first, the seller's endpoint. Then you discount it a little bit. You figure out what your MAO is. And then you try to make this offer in this range. Then you go to see comps. And what do? So here's the reality how you guys do comps. You ready? This is the best part. First thing you do is you find that you always find the highest comps you can. Okay? Who does that? That's what realtors do. Wholesalers actually have to do the opposite. So I like to use the word, but probably not the, actually it's a great time to spit this out. We need what we call a conservative comp. Put it in the chat there. Let me know what your definition of a conservative comp, because this is where most people screw it up. Now, most of you go out and you go, okay, I see a comp for, I see one for 220. I don't like that one. I see one here for, 237. Oh, I see one in here for 175. Oh, no. There's got to be a catch to that one. And you guys automatically discount it. And then you find a comp. You find a comp at like 275. And you go, oh, it doesn't have a pool. It's the same. And you go, okay, that's my comp, 275. They want 240. So now I can justify my offer at like 200. And then you know what you do? You spend like 1 hour trying to support this BS comp, and to find out every now and then there is an idiot that overpays for a property. Sometimes they pay cash, and it is a bogus number. And I'm telling you, if you do it this way, you're going to get in trouble. So let me know. So I'm going to read the definitions of a fair comp, a conservative comp: careful, cautious, thoughtful, conservative. Here's my criteria. If you're going to take like 210, 275, 225, 235, and say 240. And then say you got one at 180. Here's what I do. I get rid of the high and I get rid of the low right off the bat. And then take your average of that. I don't have a calculator. I'm not going to do that in front of me. If you're going to play the game where you pick the highest one, you have to get rid of the lowest one too. Get rid of the high, get rid of the low. That's one of the easy ways to do it. But I'm going to show you an easier way because I think that's all ridiculous. The reason why I want you to do the most conservative comp is why. Number one, I don't want you to overpay for the property. And number two, I want you to be pleasantly surprised. So the thing is, if I set my expectation that the property is only worth $220,000 because I picked like the most conservative comps, and say I find out it's worth realistically $265, you're a hero. It's just cream on top of your pie, whatever you want to call it, on your soup, whatever it is. But here's what a lot of you guys do. You set this as your comp, and then you find out from your cash buyers the real comp is 220. And now you're in a no-win situation. You either have to unwind the contract or you have to renegotiate it, and it's going to be brutal either way you do it. Now, I don't like cherry picking comps or doing anything like that. You want to hear my old school way I used to do comps? This was my favorite. There is a thing, if you want to go old school, this is an old timer taught me this trick, and it still works to this day. There's something called the TAV. What does that stand for? That stands for tax assessed value. Where do you get that information from? You get it from the property appraiser site. I'll just write it out because no one's going to get the act. Property appraiser site. And then it's going to say just like this, TAV. Now, if you're familiar on how they do property taxes, which is, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, is they try to do it to be fair across all properties. So it's never based on the full value. On average, depending on what state you are and what city you are, like here in Florida, our tax assessed value is about 70 to 75% of fair market value. So let me give you a little trick. Now, there are handicaps in this. So if you play golf, you understand what I'm saying. I suck at golf. I have to have a tremendous handicap because everyone would kill me because I like golf. I'm just not good at it. So if you're buying a property for the TAV and you're in the state of Florida, you're probably getting a really good deal if the repairs aren't out of control. I'm going to go over repairs. But does everybody understand this? If you want to go old school, TAV is what I was taught. Don't ever pay over TAV. That means you got a great wholesale deal depending on the repairs. That's one of the old school ways. If you want to try it, it absolutely works. And I'm telling you, I followed this rule for a long time. So what you have to do, though, is you have to handicap your TAVs in your market. How do I do that? Simply take the Zillow value. Actually, I'll write it out here. Take the Zillow value versus the TAV, and then figure out what the discount is. That's how us old schoolers used to do it. Now, trust me, you're in a much more advanced civilization. It's much easier to get. But I'm telling you, if you're struggling, this works really well on even some of the lowest end properties you'll ever deal with. But you guys are always relying on these retail numbers, and that's how you get killed in wholesaling. Remember, the lower your comp, the more conservative you are. And then if you decide to wholesale the property or do something like that, if you make an extra 50 grand, are you going to be mad at yourself? But if you expected to make 50 grand and you lost money, you would be very upset. So I rather flip-flop it on you and understand. So if you have a question, put it in there. Yeah, you can take a screenshot. It's recorded. Come on. You guys know I do this live. You saw my camera crap out on me. So take a screenshot. I'm going to move this. And we're going to go into more because we got to talk about what do we do with properties when they need repairs, because that's where a lot of people struggle. So, okay, I'm going to erase this because I don't feel like flipping the board today. I already did my workout. I don't want to do that twice. So everybody understands which ones you can use. Actually, real quick, before we get into this, we need to talk about, so on the free ones, you can't control the comps. You just look at them And I like to do a snuff test. If a homeowner tells me, hey, my property's worth 250, I go to Zillow and this estimate immediately says 150, I know I got a problem. It's not that tough. And because Zillow's pretty good about it, it's not always perfect, but you got to understand, if you have a huge disparity between the Zillow or this estimate and the seller's expectations, you're probably talking to somebody who wants to sell a house versus someone who needs to sell a house. So we are always going to focus on people that need to sell. I'm not going to go into details of this. We're in wholesaling. If you want to do a fix and flip, if you want to do a novation channel or any of that, I'm not going to teach you here because it has nothing to do with wholesaling. So on these right here, we have to come down. And what's the most important thing when you comp? Number one, proximity. I can't stress this enough. You can manipulate comps however you want. And by the way, if you're ever buying from a wholesaler or somebody else that's in the wholesaling business, do never, ever assume their comps. Always underwrite your own deals because most wholesalers lie about it. I'm just going to tell you the truth. And why would you take somebody else's word for it anyways? You can't do it. So number one is proximity. Number two, I call it apples to apples. What do I mean by that? It's got to be similar. What's similar? The neighborhood. Neighborhood, whatever. Neighborhood. You should have like the same block or like Prima Vista Lakes phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Each phase, usually there's an upgrade or a downgrade, but you want to make sure. You want to make sure square feet under air. You want to find out if it has a pool or not. And then to me, one of the most important things is the age or year built. You cannot compare a 1950s home to a modern day build of 2024 or anything like that. What is the age range? Usually you got to keep them within 20 years max. After that, they are not a comp. Do you understand that? And I will tell you this over and over and again. I can't stress this enough. Location is everything. The only thing where people will look the other way on a really old home is if you have it in downtown San Francisco, it could be 150 years old. It's probably worth $10 million. So knowing proximity, apples to apples, break it down to proximity in the neighborhood, square footage under air, which is huge, amenities, pool, garage, stuff like that. And so I don't get overly complicated. Most of the houses we're dealing with are at the average median price or below. So we're not going to get into like 8-car garages and stuff like that, although I love that. But as everybody understand this, proximity, apples to apples, neighborhood square footage, accessories to the house, amenities, whatever you want to call it. And number 3, which is a big one, is the year built the house and the age. I cannot do comps from a 1950s house to a 2010 house. Completely different. And the last one is location. If it is in the right location, it can override some of these things, but it's got to be A+. Is it on the ocean, on the beach? If it's 100 years old, it's probably worth still a fortune. So location will wipe out a lot of those, but these are the 4 criteria that I'm going to underwrite every real estate deal I do. It doesn't even matter if it's wholesaling or not. This is what we're going to do. So everybody take a quick screenshot. Awesome. Okay, we're going to move to, let's talk about doing repairs, which is where most people get stuck. So let me ask you, who gets frustrated with repairs on properties, especially doing this business virtually? Because it drives me nuts. And by the way, X-Leads, PropStream, Batch, MLS, you could put Deal Machine on there too, they all got different numbers. Don't you find that interesting? You assume they all go from the same service. There's reasons for this. So depending on where they get their information, and by the way, not all data is created equally, you have to understand there are pitfalls in some of these. But let me just erase this for now. Okay, remember when I started, I had to go to a realtor. And honestly, I took the tax assessed value because I got so frustrated that now, honestly, I think you guys have too much information and it creates a lot of confusion. So now we have to talk about repairs on a property. And let's just break this down and simplify it. So if I start over here, now I'm going to be handwriting challenged. This is section 1. Let's use different colors so I don't mess this up. That's section 2. And why not use, we'll just use red for this one. So this chart is going to be inside of freewholesaling.com. You go to Mailing Mastery, it's there as well like that. So we like to break the chart down to, ready? Let's see here. Let's use purple in between. This is going to be light, meaning light rehab. This is going to be medium, and this is heavy. If you don't know the difference, I'm going to give you a fast, quick rundown on this. Actually, I'll come over here and do it because I left some extra space. Hopefully you can see it on the board. So what is a light rehab? I want you to think about whenever you talk about a rehab, the money is an issue, but the time is a bigger issue. If you chose to do these rehabs yourself, you would give up months and months of your life. So when a fix and flipper is going to buy these properties, they know it's going to cost them time. Hopefully they're more efficient than you and me. And that's why I never want you guys doing fix and flips. So if you're going to do the light, these are usually, here's what I call light, less than 30 days. Now I'm going to be honest, if I was wholesaling, I would put that down to 2 weeks. Less than 30 days, and it's cosmetic. Does everybody understand that? Cosmetic fixes. No structural. You want an example of this? Flooring, appliances, paint. My 2 favorite things, actually my 3 favorite things to clean up a house is going to be a dumpster, a pressure cleaner, and a painter, and a really deep house cleaner. These are my favorites. Everybody likes a light one because they go fast and they can make a bigger profit, and everyone likes to take products to market quickly. 30 days is a fix and flip dream. You guys understand this? It also means the mom and pops can easily get in there and do this. Now, it might take them 3 or 4 months. I don't care. But the reality is these are the things that you need to understand. Now, let's go to medium. This is where it gets interesting. What is a medium? A medium is going to be, well, I'm going to do 90 to 120 days. There's a big range on this because you got to understand, whenever you go into rehab in a house, it's like a surgeon. When they open you up and say you got a clogged artery or a problem with your heart, sometimes they find other problems in there. Especially when we get in these older houses, when you open them up, all sorts of stuff. I've watched walls fall down, termite damage. We found like leaking walls just full of mold. And once you do it, you're stuck doing it. So it might be 90 days, it could be 60 days, it could be 120. Heck, it could even go to 180 days. So I'm going to go on a more here's what I'll put on this one. I'm going to put 150 days. Why? Because you're going to have unexpected repairs. Once you start opening up walls and doing framing, these are usually going to have some structural issues. What do I mean by structural? This is where you start getting into roofs. Guys, roofs are expensive. They require permits, and we have to calculate them for them. And then you're going to get into HVAC systems. And then sometimes you have to do framing on the inside of the house. This is all going to cost money. It's going to cost time, and time is more important than money when it comes to these deals. So these are going to be your light and your medium. If you can't figure out, I'm going to go over the numbers so you figure out what the medium is. A light cosmetic, a light rehab is something you can live in. Doesn't necessarily mean like you can live with it. It's like you could put a renter in there. A medium one usually means I got to move somebody out of there quickly, and we got to get a crew in there to get working on it. Okay, the final one, heavy. A heavy is going to be 180 to 365 days. How do you know if it's heavy? Massive structural repair, interior and exterior, electrical. This is usually going to be electrical and plumbing. And then this is going to be full framing. So when we talk about gut jobs, these are when you can't, you can just see all the way through, and they got to get it done. Now, there's a lot of money to be made with these, but there's only certain people that can handle these. So you guys understand the range from 30 days to 365? That is it. So if I walk in a property and you can live in it, and it's like, a little bit of flooring, paint, pressure cleaner, you are light. If you go in there and go, listen, you got to get out of here. It's a train wreck. We need to get this fixed. But it's not the worst I've ever seen, but usually all rehabbers try to shoot for 90 days on these. I'm just telling you, a lot of them go as far as 180 days. And then the big ones, I'm telling you, they're every cent of 180 days to 365 days, which means half a year, 6 months to an entire year. And keep in mind, they have costs to carry all the way through that, and you have to understand that. So once you understand this framework, then you just have to decide. So what is going to drive this is very, 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 very simple. It's going to be based on square footage. So if we understand that, it just comes to the size of the house. So we can do, we'll call this small home, medium home, and large home. And what I did is me and Zach just broke it down to a simple chart so you can understand. This is basically going to be less than 1,500 square feet under air. This is going to be 1,500 to 3,000. And then this is going to be 3,000 plus. And by the way, these numbers we update every year. And if you want to get super accurate, like you can go deep in the weeds on X leads and you can get everything. But I really don't want you to do that. I don't think it's healthy for you to do that. I don't want to spend this much time. The idea is you should be able to glance at this chart and go, okay, here it is. It is a light rehab for less than 1,500 square feet. Rick, what's that going to cost me? On average, I will spit the number out. I'm going to match my colors because I got OCD and ADHD. I don't really have OCD. I think that's somebody else in the family. So this is 15K. It used to be 7 to 10K all along when I used to do this. We are well out of that range. So 1,500 square feet light, keep in mind, we're hoping it's less than this, but you do painting inside and outside, switch the appliances, and fit and fix like 1 or 2 rooms with carpeting. And yes, I say carpeting. I want you to hear me on this. I love carpeting. Carpeting's cheap. It's fast. It can be done in a couple hours. And it's always in stock. That's why you have that tan carpeting. Is it the best for homeowners? I'm not doing it. So if I was going to do a hotel, I love carpet. I do love laminate, tile, and wood floor, but that all takes, the install is much, much more. It takes a lot more time, and it's much, much more expensive, which if they're trying to get it done in less than 30 days, that would be problematic. So 15K on a light, and you got to understand that. We're going to go 18 to 20K on a medium size. Remember, guys, this is just like the basics, cosmetic stuff. And then once you get over in like the 3,000, you're always going to be 25K plus. Keep in mind, this is light. This would cover painting, appliances, pressure cleaner, and dumpsters across the board. Simple stuff, get it out, less than 30 days. If you're going to do a wholesale, we're going to do it in under 2 weeks. That's what we want to get it done. But keep in mind, this is where we like to be on it, but these are the real numbers and this is how it works. So now we have light. That's kind of the easy one. Now that we start to get into the medium, now we have to talk about this a little bit. On the medium, if I go to a medium, I'm instantly at 27K. And I would even go around like 30K when I do that. This is going to be anywhere from 33 to 38K. And then this right here, this is where it gets ugly, guys. 45K plus. And if you think that number's off, I'm telling you, I see it all the time. 45K doesn't get you nearly what you think it does anymore. And you have to understand that. Now, let's get into the heavy, which this is where it gets really ugly, in my opinion. And you got to understand this. This is going to be 60K. This is going to be 60 to 70K. And then when you come over here, it's going to be 75K plus. Does everybody understand this? Now, here's the cool part is you can go to freewholesaling.com. This chart's there forever. We update it as needed on it. But so if I have a medium house that nobody's living in, I really can't move anybody in there until I get it. Say it's 2,000 square feet. I'm going to assume it's probably around 35K. That's it. We just got to do the numbers just like that. That's all you have to do when you do it. Just pick light, medium, heavy. How do I know? One's cosmetic. One's got unexpected repairs. I really wouldn't move a tenant in there until I got a contractor in there. And the other one is I can see all the way through the house, or I have to cut the whole thing. We're going to need a lot of dumpsters. That's it. And then you just break it down per square footage. Most of us, let's be honest, we're staying from here and over. Not many times you're getting in the 3,000 square plus square foot houses, unless you're in like the state of Texas, which has got a lot of big houses. Remember, we're looking for properties at the average median price. And this is why most of the time. So occasionally you'll be over here, but that's usually going to be more for an advanced wholesaler or you got a great buyer's list. So most of you are going to be right in here. So there's only really 6 zones and you can simply do that. If you have a question, ask it now. I'm doing this so we understand how to calculate repairs because there's another step up on this. Did I write on the other side? No, I didn't. Maybe I can flip it. I don't know. Let's see if this thing's going to give me room. Everybody got this? Screenshot it. Don't worry, it's recorded. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, so let's flip this. So now that we know how to do repairs, and remember, guys, if you need more time getting this, go over to freewholesaling.com. How cool is that? Okay, so the next part is now we've established where to get comps, wholesale comps. I taught you the old school comping method. And now I just taught you how to get repair costs without driving yourself nuts. Now, guys, let me ask you this. Put in the comments, what are the 2 most important rooms in any house when, say, a fix and flipper goes to sell it? What do you think are the 2 rooms that have the absolute highest impact on the sales price on a piece of property in the United States? Put it in the comments because you've got to understand that. If you don't get this part, you're going to struggle with that. Now, while you're putting in the comments there, I want you to understand this. So we look for ugly houses all the time. Every now and then a house is just so ugly, meaning the architectural design on it, there's nothing you can do to really make sense of the house. If the house is super, super ugly, meaning it, so every now and then I have someone who builds their own house. They do a flat roof and it looks like an army bunker. there's not much you can do with that property. So I want you to understand some houses can't be fixed by even a fix and flipper. They just need to be rented out and that's it. So Steve's got it perfect right here. I'm just going to put it right up here. Kitchen and bath. So does Joe. Kitchen and bath. Okay? Does everybody understand that? It's always about the kitchen and the bath. Now, if you understand this, if you want to judge a property quickly, walk in the kitchen and walk in the one bath, preferably the master bath. 9 times out of 10, it will tell you how the rest of the house looks. That's my biggest telltale. Why? Kitchens are the most expensive. Bath is going to be right up there. So the average kitchen used to be 10 grand. It's 15 plus right now. And I'm telling you, it's not a fancy kitchen. On the bath, the minimum for a bath is 5K. So if you got a bad kitchen and bath right off the bat, and remember, sometimes there's 2 of these, you could be at 25 before you touch the rest of the house. And I want you to understand that. So remember, kitchen and bath, they're what sell a house and what determines the rest of how the rest of the house is going to go. So if I have a really nice house and the kitchen's trashed, most fix and flippers will just gut it and start over, because try to fix up a crappy kitchen, try to paint the cabinets, or like you try to do like stucco or something like that. I've seen a lot of stuff. You're never going to get anywhere doing that. So once we know where that is, where to get the comps, we know old school methods, we know the repair cost, how do we do the calculations? I'm here to tell you, I'm going to give you some basics, but we're going to have to add common sense to this. I will tell you this. I'm going to go through a simple formula for you now, but stop like going, okay, Rick told me this is the formula, it's black and white. Here's your formula. If you have a great cash buyer to buy your contract and you have a property under contract for 200 and they'll pay you 205 and you can't get any more doing that, take the damn thing. I don't care what the percentage is. That's 5 grand. If you made 5 grand on a $100 deposit, which you get back, that's what we call an infinite return. So you guys got to stop getting stuck in the calculation zone. You see, because if you do wholesaling right, if I got a cash buyer to buy my contract and I get a good deal in this house, it doesn't. Let me ask you, if I bought a house at 86% of ARV and I made 5K, and I was nowhere near, your typical 70% formula, am I a dumb investor? No, I'm smart. And I'm just telling you, the calculator will help you figure out kind of where you need to be. But please don't go, okay, Rick told me I can never go over 70%. Listen, if I got a property at 200K and I got a buyer willing to pay me like an extra 5K, and there's nobody else around and I can't get it done, and the guy goes, dude, it's 205 or I'm walking, take the 5K. I don't care if you bought it for 110%. It's just common sense in this business. Some of you guys, I'm going to be brutally honest, I do not like writing formulas. It's in freewholesaling.com. I'm going to give it to you anyways. But please use common sense first. If common sense doesn't work, then go back to the formula. Everybody understand that? Okay? I still have deals right now. I just bought a deal the other day for 87% of the ARV. And I made 10 grand. I never did any, I had a buyer. I knew he wanted it. I got under contract. The seller just would not budge. And we take our 10 grand. Does everybody understand that? It's just reverse wholesaling. It's super simple. We get stuck on formulas. So full disclosure, I'm going to go through some formulas right now. And I want you to understand it's just a guideline. That's it. Because I never write formulas down for this exact reason, because it completely drives me nuts. Now, actually, let me see the best way to do this. So here's how we're going to do the formulas. Let's do another chart. Why not? My marker's dying. Okay. We'll do 3 columns just like we did before. Uh-oh. Okay. We'll try it just like that. So here's what we're going to do. It's basically any house that's 125K or less, understanding how percentages works. The bigger the number gets, the more disparity in the differential in the percentages. So I'm not going to give you a less than known statistics. I'm just going to show you how this applies to wholesaling so you completely understand how we do this. So I'm going to basically take this one, and then I'm going to calculate my ARV. I'm going to minus my repairs. Okay, everybody understand this so far? And then I'm just going to multiply that by 0.70. Guys, this is just a guideline. It is not a rule. This is how I was taught to do wholesaling when I began. This works on the basic level because this number is so small. 70% understanding the disparity when you do that. Now, we got to go to the next one. If we go to the next one, let me do a different color here. Let's try green because green makes money, and we got to understand that. So if I'm going to go up to the next one, 220K, I didn't mean that one. Oops. Bigger number, right? So we're going to go from 126 to that. You're going to do the same thing, ARV minus repairs. And you can go up to 80 on this. Why? Because it's a bigger number. Does everybody understand the correlation is every time you go up on the number, it's going to increase, and that's how you have to do it. Now, I'm going to put this one, I'm going to give you one more line on it. I lied to you. Okay. Because I think we need another set on this. Now we'll go from 221. What did I put on my numbers? 221 to 300, which is still a lot of you. I know some of you are up on the values. Don't freak out on this. But ARV minus repairs again. And then what do you think we're going to put on this number? Because this is where you're like, oh my God, he's really going up on the ARV. The problem is this number goes up. This has to come up because the disparity gets huge. Because I could do a calculation on the math, and I'll show you how that works. And then basically on this one right here is when we go 300K plus, which is a lot of you, is going to be the same thing, ARV minus repairs. How do we calculate repairs? We do our quick chart just like I showed you. And then on this one, you can go like 85. Oops, 85%. Does everybody understand that? Because if I run the numbers here, I'm just telling you the disparity gets huge, and you have to understand how that works. So let me get my calculator, which honestly, right now I'm breaking my cardinal rule in wholesaling. If you have to whip out a calculator to see if your wholesaling deal works, odds are you're paying too much for it. Ask me how I know this because it's true. But for this exercise, unfortunately, I do have to use a calculator. So if we do 125 times 0.7, that puts us at 87.5 here. Oh, shoot, that one's not right. Amazon's terrible with markers. 87.5. And so 125, the difference on that, 125 minus 87.5. That shows you a spread of 37.5. That leaves you plenty of money to make an assignment fee and leave some meat on the bones. When you get these lower numbers, you have to stay really tight on these numbers. Remember, if you have a cash buyer low and there is a differential and they're 100% in, throw the number out the window. Let me give an example. Say you got a property worth 120 grand. You put it under contract for 100 and somebody offers you 110. You can play with them, but please don't leave the money on the table because Rick said I can't pay more than 87.5. Common sense. I see it all the time. The next one, let's do 220. 220 times 0.8. Watch, I'll show you. That puts us at 176.5 and 176 minus 22. That gives 44,000. And then we could go along the lines here. You guys kind of get the drift. 300 times 0.83. We're at 249K, and 249 minus 300. That puts us at 51K spreads. And then on this one, remember, I didn't put repairs here because I didn't know what they were, so I left them all at 0, to be fair on this. And then if we did, say, a house at 425,000, and I did it by 0.85, that puts our purchase price at 361. 250 minus 4.25, which basically leaves like 64K. So does everybody understand this? I don't like formulas. I'm going to be honest with you, because I think people cheat with them and they really get stuck and they don't know how to make them work. And I don't want you to use it. So on purpose, I'm not going to leave this up here longer than I need to do. But remember, anywhere from 70 to 85. Let me ask you this. I'm testing you now. Is if you get a deal and it doesn't fit within your number parameters, at what point do you decide to override that? Let me just give you a simple example, because this stuff, what did I do with my marker? I lost another one. So if I have a deal, say it's worth 250K, that's the ARV. Okay, you ran some comps, all that. Say it has a minimal $10,000 in rehab. So at 250K, when we run our numbers, when I gave you that number, is you could technically go to 0.83. So let's call it 240, and then we multiply that by 0.83. So if we run that number real quick, and once again, I'm using a calculator, which is not a good sign. When we do this, 240 times 0.83 puts us at 199,200. Okay, 199,200. Oh man! Now you guys know I'm going to teach you to go for no. I could give two craps. I'm coming in an offer at probably about 100 to 110. That's how we work. Do you understand why I don't overly care what the comp is? Because I'm going to go for a huge differential, because this is the game we play in wholesaling. It's just the truth. I've been through this probably 100,000 times plus. If you try to reach for this number, it's going to go up. If you do this, you want to see if they're going to come down to you. But let me ask you this. You know, 199, they're stuck. The seller says, listen, I can't take anything less than 250,000. If not, you can go pound sand. Well, what do you do? Someone put in the comments, what do I do? Oh my God, Rick, none of the numbers work. The formulas don't work. This one's stuck right here at 215. This is their bottom line, and they won't budge. You've tried every trick. You've tried good cop, bad cop. You tried the volley method. You tried the scrunchy face, for God's sakes. What do we do? You just go out and find a cash buyer that wants that type of property. If they want it and say they want to pay 220 and they go, that's it, and you have no other action, it breaks all these formula rules. They don't work. But you have the potential to make 5K. Rick, what do I do? Because I'm breaking your rules and everybody tells me MAO, like never a 70, 75%. For God's sakes, take the 5K. I do this all the time. In fact, about 25% of my deals make no sense on paper on the formula. You know why? Because somebody really wants the property bad and they're willing to pay for it. I've been that person. You're going to go out and find people like this. Not every deal is as cookie cut as you do this. But I digress, don't I? Does everybody understand this? So we're going to sum this up, and then we're going to take lives here because I don't want to do this all day because this is a real workout erasing this damn board. I talked to Zach about this. So you have to understand this. Why do I not want you to spend a ton of time on comps? Say a property, say you go on Zillow. Say Zillow says the property's worth $300,000. And say you spent 4 hours, because some of you do, you spend way too much time comping. And then all your comps come up from 290 to 305. And say you wasted hours doing this. Well, if you just do the method I teach you and just go for no, and if you don't know how to do that, go over to wholesaling.com, freewholesaling.com. If a property says worth, let's just say it's worth, here's my comp if I do this, it's probably 290. I'm always going to pick the lowest, the most conservative, right? And then if it's worth 290, I'm probably going to offer 200. So guys, you can sit here and fight all day. If it's worth 265, if it's worth 340, who gives a crap? You want a ballpark number. And I always like to pick something on this side. And then I take it down here and I use my go for no method. Why? Because I don't have to think. So if I deal with 100 prospects, these are people that are suspect that we want to work with. I want you to understand this. Only if I had 100 prospects, here's the reality, guys. Only about 5 to 7 are worth talking with. Everybody understand that? If I have 100 prospects, 5 to 7 are usually going to qualify someone who needs to sell their house off market, direct to seller. Of that, 2 to 3 are going to get an offer. And I'm happy if one or two take it. How many properties did I comp? Most of you try to comp 100. You know why? Because you want absolute certainty, because that's how your parents taught you. That's how the school system taught you. And I'm here to tell you, stop wasting your time. On average, if you took 100 properties and say you just spent 30 minutes on each one of them, what's that come to? That's, I'll break this down in hours. So times 30, that's 3,000 minutes. So this would cost you 50 hours. Now, if you comp 2 or 3, and let's just say you do it less than 2 minutes. I say 60 seconds because you can do this in 60 seconds. Let's just say less than 2 minutes. That's 12 minutes total. And now you can get this 50 hours back, and you can go over to freewholesaling.com and figure out how to make this business work. If you want to study and be a perfect comping, you are nothing more than a glorified real estate agent. I will battle anybody on this. I look for big giant spreads on my property. If the property's worth 290 or 300, I'm coming in at 200 every time on wholesaling. Realtors try to get the highest possible retail number, or the opposite. It doesn't mean you are excused or cannot understand how to comp a property. Now, you guys are going to make me erase one more time. So let's just recap real quick, and then we'll take questions, okay? If you have a question, put it in the comment right now. Well, let's get it answered. Let's get this out of the way. You are in the greatest time in wholesaling history because comps are pretty much given to you. You guys got to stop being a computer, though. If you have a property that's worth $200K and the seller will says, I'll take 190, and you have someone that'll pay 195, take your $5,000 and throw the dang formulas out the window. How do I do that? I reverse wholesale. I teach you at freewholesaling.com. Sometimes you can't get the right price. If you can get a deep discount price, get it, because it'll be a piece of cake to sell. Remember, do the hard work first. If you're spending too much time comping, it means you're trying to justify you overpaying for the property. The more time you comp, the worse it's going to get. You know why? Because you're trying to seek validation. Oh yeah, no, I paid him $290 because I found a comp at $309,995. Come on, guys. You guys are better than that. You know exactly how to do it. You've got to understand. Comping should be simple. My understanding of comping is I do like to start with Zillow because every homeowner, I would say 95% of owners know this value. You should know this value too. Don't be the exception. Know the value going into it and understanding it is going to be an objection when you go to buy your wholesale property from them. But remember, we're seeking people that have problem properties that are off market direct to seller. If we do that, we're going to be fine. Now, I like to use Zillow because I have to know, and it's free. If you're going to put me in a corner, I will tell you this. The easiest of all, listen, PropStream works good. Batch works good. Deal Machine's not horrible, but there's a little bit of a problem on it. The number one question me and Zach get, the number one question I get from most of you go, Rick, what's the best wholesale value to purchase this at? So we decided in our software just to remove the doubt, and we just give you, if you go inside of X Leads, it gives you what we call a wholesale value. Now keep in mind, it cannot see the property. So, you know, me and Zach do extensive training in X Leads because we like to have an all-in-one platform to do your marketing, your acquisitions, your dispositions, which you can do that all in X Leads, is you get a wholesale value. So if it tells you the wholesale value is $265 and you get it under contract at like $270, pending the repairs, these are smoking deals. And this is the one thing I absolutely love about X Leads because we remove your doubt. Now, keep in mind, it does depend on the repairs. It does depend on the location, and it's far from perfect. But if you're brand new to wholesaling or you've struggled or you go, man, I can't figure out what the wholesale values is. If you go inside X Leads, we actually give you a wholesale value, give you a confidence score with it. So matching up like the X Leads with Zillow, hands down. The other thing I would do is a fail safe. If you want to know, if you go, Rick, I think I got the most smoking wholesale deal I ever got. That's fine. Let's do one more check. Ready? That's one. That's two. Number three, give me the TAV, baby. That's the tax assessed value. If you got below the tax assessed value and you did proper handicap, Rick, how do I handicap? Compare the Zillow number to the tax assessed value and figure out what the percentage difference is. And you can use that as your handicap for all properties in your area. I will go through this 1, 2, 3. You're not going to get this teaching anywhere else. Why? Because I actually do deals. I go in the markets. I just did one in Reading, Pennsylvania. I have never been there. I have no idea about it. Boom, 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 25K. How? I just know how to instruct my staff on how to pull numbers. I have no idea. I started with X Leads, I went to Zillow, and I took the TAV, and I knew I had a great deal. And I'm leaving money on the table because that's what you do in wholesaling. Guys, this is a cheat sheet you will see nowhere else. Keep in mind the tax assessed value. You guys have some markets where it's actually the retail value. In the state of Florida, it is anywhere from 70 to 75% of what we consider the ARV. But go check it out and let me know with your comments and let me know if you do that. If you want to get help with confidence and you want to go to one place and you like to pull your list and do everything, for God's sakes, go to X Leads. I love all the technology and all the softwares we have, but the problem is, like you, if you get really annoyed opening up 7 different screens, 7 different trainings, and most importantly, 7 different charges on your credit card, check out X Leads. We have a big news announcement coming on Thursday. I believe we're going to do it at 5 p.m. Eastern time. You do not want to miss this live stream because we're going to go in detail some of the things we're going to do to help solve your problem. So guys, Do not spend all this time comping. Comping is really a realtor's job. We're buying way below the values. If you don't have huge spreads between the ARV and what you're buying it for, you're not wholesaling. You're getting into speculation, and I don't teach that. Remember the three things you have to have from every seller. Ready? For a wholesale deal. It's ODN. Off market, direct to seller, and they need to sell. If you don't have these three, don't worry about the rest. It's not going to work. In fact, if you violate the three basic rules, I'm not saying you can't get a deal on market. It's just harder. But for the most part, if you're starting out wholesaling and you break these three rules, you've either bought someone's course and you're okay wasting your time, because you're going to be super busy. And you guys always, what do I tell you? What's busy means? It means you're broke. Guys, most people in wholesaling, any amount of time is they're really good marketers, and they come up with all these like pitch courses, and they teach you how to be a specialized agent. And you become just like this tricked out dispo person, which means you're just a realtor. And if you want to go get your realtor's, be a realtor's license. Anybody tells you in wholesaling you need to get your realtor's license to protect yourself and to show them you're serious, is most likely a realtor. If you don't believe me, ask them. They have to disclose it for you. It's like asking a cop. Are you a cop? Ask a realtor. A lot of gurus are licensed realtors. Now, I'm not knocking it, but I've never seen someone that doesn't have a realtor's license say you have to go out and get one. In fact, I've been wholesaling almost 22 years. I've never had a license. Why? License make you liable. License screw up your marketing. And number three, why would I be licensed to be a realtor when I want to be a wholesaler? They're completely different rules, different objectives. And I get it. Politicians are trying to force us all in a square peg and trying to just try to manage everything we do and control us. Well, I think the word's out on how government's going. Our government's way too big, and we got to stop doing this. So any guru who tells you this is illegal or wholesaling's banned, they're just, I promise you, number one, they're a licensed realtor. Number two, they got a course to cure the problem. You guys got to go out and read and get the information for yourself. So what I want to do is let's answer some questions here and see what we can do with this. Awesome. By the way, last week I had, I believe, Jesus on. He had a great wholesale deal with a probate in Titusville, and he wanted to partner with me. He promised to send me, and never sent anything. So Jesus, if you're out there, support at flipwithrick.com. I never got it. I was looking for it. I did a bunch of deals last week, but I wanted to help you out because I have excellent buyers in that market, and I can have that thing sold in less than a week for you. So if you want to do that, reach out to me, and let's go from there. So let me see here. I'm going to put the wholesaling course on the bottom, and let's answer some questions here. So awesome. Masterclass. So that service is a paid service, and I'm not going to talk about that one. So yes, this is recorded. Oh my God, there's a lot of information on here. So sorry about the camera in the beginning. The treasurer won't work. So Jonathan's correct on this statement, and you got to understand that. So you guys know kitchen and the bath is the biggest ones. If you want to jump on here and talk on me live, I bumped everybody off by accident when I had the camera thing. I apologize. The links in the comments. So here's a good one. Chicken says, what about a hurricane damaged property is missing a few walls or the entire house is completely gutted due to water damage? You simply go back. Did I do this on the other side? Let's flip it. So if I got a hurricane flooded house, I'm probably 75. And honestly, depending on the size of it, you're going to be somewhere between 70 and 125K. Because remember, when stuff gets wet, drywall, kitchens, electrical, it's flooring, paint, it's like everything. And the problem is, it's not so much the money, it just takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of different type of subcontractors to put that all together. And that's the biggest challenge. A lot of you guys are dealing with like flooding houses, especially over in the Tampa St. Pete area. And the deals are coming in left and right. The problem is they're not as easy as you think they are to sell. Think about a flooded car. Would you buy a flooded car if it was this close to you? Absolutely not. So these flooded houses have to go through procedures, and people want to see documentation because everybody knows I assume St. Pete was like ground zero in that area, give or take, 20, 30 miles. If a house is flooded out and had a lot of work, you're going to have to prove how it got fixed. And the problem is when you get hundreds, if not thousands of houses that hit the market at the same time, the same type of damage, it's going to push the prices down because there's only so many cash buyers that can facilitate those properties, and there'll be a lot of competition for it. So just be careful. Now, every now and then when I get a house and somebody goes and cuts the drywall in the first 72 hours, it's a whole new game. But most people leave the house is flooded. Mold starts growing, things get worse, they start to smell, and that's where they become problematic. So what I would do on these types of properties is make sure I got the insurance estimate. The homeowner should share that with you. You need as much disclosure as humanly possible. Otherwise, whoever you sell it to, the fix and flipper, he or she's not going to get top dollar. They have to start from where the damage start, and that starts with an insurance estimate. Why? They're pretty accurate. They're pretty dead on, give or take. They're usually a little bit under, maybe a little bit over. But once they have that, and then the fix and flipper shows how they cured each one of those, sometimes they need mold remediation. They need a lot of things. And the more you can disclose it and the more you can show the problems, the more apt a fix and flipper is going to pay you much better dollar for it. If the fix and flipper is going in and they have no idea of what the repairs or how long the property sat for, they're going to hit you for a massive discount. And you are going to have to get that same discount from your seller. So the sellers that give you the repair estimates from the insurance company, that did proactive measures to dry it out, you're in a much better shape. The ones that ignored it and just let the house flood and there's still water sitting in there, you better get them for deep, deep discounts because they're hard to move. So I've already turned down 3 of them myself. So they do smell. So okay, well, let's answer that one. Somebody said on here, hey, Rick, where is it? Here it is. Janet says, how do you guys get your leads? I tried calling today and they told me I had the wrong number, but it's crazy having to call one by one. There has to be a quicker way. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. One of the easiest ways, in my opinion, is just go over to X Leads. Not only can you pull all your lists, you can handle them in the CRM. It will actually help you market your properties, make sure you get them under the right value for your contracts. And then it actually has software in there to help you dispo your deal, meaning you can find cash buyers in that neighborhood to help you buy your properties, to tell you how many properties they bought, the average price. If you're asking how I do it, we mostly do X Leads, and we still do the government list. We do them heavy. And as usual, I do a lot of referrals with JVs with people just like yourself, tons of them. So, okay. Let's see here. This is simple. He says, when you're broke, how do you get cash buyers? You get on the phone and you hunt the cash buyers down. So I've done entire videos on how to find cash buyers. You can get them from realtors that represent cash buyers. You can get them from your county property records. And one of the easiest ways, if you're completely broke, is look for rent areas for the areas you're looking to buy properties or do wholesaling. Remember, most people that rent property, like myself, we're always looking for more deals, and we typically pay cash for those houses. That's one of the best ways to do it. And the last one is try to find real estate meetup groups in your area. You're going to find wholesalers there, fix and flippers, And the really cool thing is you're going to find cash buyers. The last one is network with your local title companies. They know every cash buyer in your geographic area, and that is the easiest way to find a cash buyer for your area. Listen, finding cash buyers doesn't matter how much money you have. It just matters how resilient you are and on getting it. And you got to understand that. So let's see here. Luke's got one, says, I have an appointment on Friday. Seller wants 10K. It's a heavy rehab, 1420. TAV is 41, 80 to 130. So I will tell you on the TAV, once you get below like 70 grand, it gets a little loosey goosey. Honestly, below 100 grand. But once again, Luke, it comes down if you can find a cash buyer to buy that property. So many of you guys get so married to these formulas, and I'm telling you, if I can make money, I throw the formula out the window. How do I know I'm going to make money? If I have a cash buyer who goes, yeah, I absolutely want that, I'm going to run back, throw that property under contract, still ask for one more discount, and then I'm asked the cash buyer to go up a little bit. So if I can get the seller to drop, just say 3,000 and get him to go up 3,000, that's another 6 grand in my pocket. We do this all day long. Yes, do I want to buy it at like a deep discount to go for no price? Absolutely. But I'm just telling you, it's okay to do singles and doubles and wholesaling. That's what covers the bills. That's what pays your rent. That's what keeps the lights on, your phone on. And then as you get more money, you can put more money back in your marketing, and you've got to understand how that works. So let's see. So Winston, and I had another question. Flood zones, does that impact the rehab budget? The flood zone, what flood zones do is they make the insurance much more expensive for the property. So if I'm in a neighborhood 1 mile away and then a mile over, it's marked in a flood zone. If you know what your flood zone is, our federal government writes what the flood zones are, and they move it statistically every year. I've been caught multiple times with this. The problem with the flood zones is the cost of insurance. So if I have a house 1 mile away, not in a flood zone, and then you have kind of the identical house in a flood zone, and one costs $4,000 a year to insure, and the other one's only $1,000, that is the problem with it. So if somebody owns that house over 10 years, statistically it costs them $30,000 more to own the house, and that will actually push down the value unless it has some crazy amenities. And remember, when a fix and flipper fixed that house up, when they go to get financing from their end buyers, they have to do a calculation, and they have to put the cost of insurance in the reserves for the escrow payments. And that makes the house more expensive to buy. And a lot of people will fail that test. People will go crazy for a house that has low insurance outside of a flood zone every time. If you don't understand it, you can look it up. I think it's under HUD, under the federal government. It's like a .gov, and you can look up the flood zones for anywhere in the United States. It's a pain in the ass. I just had a property I've owned for 5 years. Now they've just designated the flood zone, and now it's costing me an extra $3,800 a year because they decided the flood zone went from this side of the street to this side. I don't know how the federal government works. And honestly, here's the reality, guys. Flood insurance, it's funded by the federal government, and your house has to fill up with water. It's not from wind, rain, or anything. It has to fill up with water. And then ask people in North Carolina how flood insurance works. They can't even get their $750. And remember, this is from the federal government. Keep in mind, the federal government is $35 trillion in the hole. They're going to find every way not to pay your claim. And that's why nobody likes the flood insurance, because does it really protect you? Yeah, maybe after a 2 or 3 year court battle, you might get the land value plus some extra money. It's an absolute joke. So I've never even put in a flood claim. I believe it would be an absolute nightmare. I don't believe the money's there for the government. I just believe it is it's just another government fee. I might be wrong, but I'm just telling you, I don't trust the government in paying me for anything. So don't get me started on the government, guys. So I'm correct. You don't use the formula every time, because sometimes you get a buyer that will just pay you more. Like sometimes we get so rigid like a computer Listen, in a perfect world, if you can buy every property for 70 cents on the dollar and it's got minimal repairs, do it. It's a no-brainer. You don't need a formula to tell you that. But let me tell you, if you buy it for 83% and you can make 5 or 10 grand on it with little to no risk, do it. Who gives a crap what number you put it under contract for? If you have a buyer that really wants it, that's fine. But remember, you can't be going up into the 95 to 100% because remember, the higher you go on the percentage, the more BS you got to go through, inspections, financing. And remember, we need cash buyers. So we don't want to go too higher on that, but that is true. So what do I think of the Cleveland market? I got no issues with it. I guess that all of Ohio is like so cheap compared to like states like Florida and California. So if you have local knowledge of it and you understand it, if you're doing it locally or virtually, have somebody to work with, I mean, the price points are absolutely beautiful there. So, okay, guys, so here's what I need you to do. If you got value from the day, do me a favor, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you smash that like button, for God's sakes. That's how you give me a tip. Like, honestly, I don't collect any money from you guys, so that's the best way to go out and tell other people the truth of what's going on in wholesaling. And guys, as usual, do me a favor, go over to freewholesaling.com. All this information is there. This is just one small segment I went over you. If you want to learn how to do it, jump on there. And we'll be on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern time on the Flip with Rick channel. Join us there. And make sure you're going to be around Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern time for our big, giant announcement. You do not want to miss it. I promise you it will benefit every wholesaler in the industry. Just trust me on this. I don't say this often, but I think you'll get a lot of value out of it. So guys, go to freewholesaling.com. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, to the Rick Ginn channel. Check out my son's channel at Zach Ginn. And obviously Flip with Rick, because that's where we share all our content with you guys. So you guys are amazing. I love you. I appreciate your time. And I will see you tomorrow. See you.